back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years because she wanted to remain a virgin. Now she wants to get back together, but she told me she had you-know-what with someone else when we were broken up. How should I proceed? And guys, this story is all about a guy. He's 23. His girl's 21, his ex-girl. And after 3 years of not getting any, he finally said, enough, I can't do this. You get the point, and they broke up. And you're going to see that she comes from a very religious background. Her dad's a pastor, but she claims that she told her family, the religion, the faith, your beliefs are not for me, but still wanted to remain a virgin until she was married. Got involved with this guy in college, and he waited 3 years, even though that's not what he wanted. And finally, he had enough, and then off she goes in the arms of someone else. And then when things didn't work out with that guy, now she's back wanting to work things out and say, oh, by the way, we can hook up all you want. And he's like, nope. And that'll be a very good one to go over here, guys, and the classic example of gals make rules for betas, break rules for alphas. And guys, how you have to understand that if someone is religious and they want to wait until they get married, okay, that's their business. But it doesn't mean you as a guy have to go along with their plan. Okay, and you have every right to pass on that, move on, and you're not the devil for that. However, the thing is, a lot of guys who aren't exactly James Bond, aren't exactly rolling with the ladies, oftentimes will take whatever they can get and put up with terms of a relationship they don't like. And that will make a gal lose respect for them when the guy does things he doesn't want to do. And this story here, you're going to see this guy openly admits he was a virgin and he wasn't exactly rolling with the ladies, and so he put up with that. And there's going to be other things in this story. It's not going to surprise you guys at all. But our guy here who makes a mistake initially will come out strong. And this will prove a lot of what I make the point of many times in my stories. Oh, and a big shout out to Isaac for sending me this story. It says here, I met my ex 3 years ago. We lived on campus at university in different halls of the residence. After a few months, we got together and for the most part had a very happy relationship. There was always one issue, though. My ex grew up in a very religious household. Her dad is a pastor. She has been open with her family that she does not share their faith. They weren't happy about it, but accepted that she has to make her own choices on that. Nevertheless, I think some of the religious upbringing was still in her mind. I grew up in a different religion, but was never very serious about it, and I'm no longer religious. Our relationship was pretty normal, except that she told me very early on that she was a virgin and wanted to stay that way until she was married. Well, again, if that's what she wants, that's her business. But it doesn't mean that he had to go along with it. But listen to this. I wasn't religious. It wasn't for religious reasons, she claimed. As I mentioned, she isn't religious. But she was very focused on not disappointing her dad. We did other S-word things, just not intercourse. I love how there's always loopholes. I've dated, when I was much younger, high school and all, or even college, a couple gals that wanted to wait to marriage, or religious gals, and they could have been bullshitting me because I was the nice guy back then. But they were willing to do everything else you could possibly imagine. My buddy had a gal, she wanted to wait until she was married. However, she had a loophole. She could do backdoor action, but not the other way, He was like, fine. I never had much luck with girls growing up. Ding, ding, ding. There you go. And going into the relationship, I was a virgin. And I still am. At least if you classify me being a virgin as never having intercourse. Anyway, I was becoming more resentful of the fact that everyone I know was having normal sex relationships, and we were not. Bro, you chose this. If she made it clear from the beginning, you knew what you were getting into. So at least she told you, obviously. Now, whether she was remaining faithful to you, who knows? We can debate that one. But she told you. You didn't have to go along with it, but you did because you said here, you didn't have much luck with girls growing up, so you finally found probably a pretty girl who you liked and got along with that gave you attention. So that's on you. I couldn't understand why she didn't want to have a full S-word relationship, though of course I never pressured her about it. I felt that while I was at university and pretty broke, getting married was something for the future. You're darn right. Last year, I was in my last year of university, and she was working in her first professional job. Her degree was shorter than mine, so she finished her university first. He's from Australia, by the way, despite being younger than me. She was talking a lot about these successful guys she met at work, which made me feel lesser, as I was still a broke university student. Coupled with her still not wanting a full S-word relationship, it made me feel more resentful. So there she is talking to you about all these guys she works with now that are obviously making money and they're older and are successful and all that. And I see that as rubbing it in your face. You know, this is what you could be. This is what I could get. Meanwhile, she knows darn well you want to sleep with her, take it to the next level, and she won't do that. And that ain't cool. And it's like, what can you do? You're in college. You're 22, 23. You're finishing up your degree. Of course, those guys are making money and all that because they're older than you and beyond that. But there she is talking about them. And remember, when women talk about other guys, usually in detail, there's a reason for that. That's why women lose their minds when you bring up some gal. I'm sure you guys have noticed this. And it could be a woman you have zero interest. She could be 100 years old and you're mentioning the cashier at CVS when you bought some freaking NyQuil, and she loses her mind because you're talking about the girl at CVS. You're like, she's 100 fucking years old. But he's bringing up another woman. That's when they bring up other guys, you need to be suspicious of that. Anyway, it's been nearly 6 months since we broke up. Oh, excuse me. I spoiled something. We had some arguments about it, and after a while, I felt like I should enter the relationship as we wanted different things and our lives were on different paths. It was awful. She was crying a lot, and I felt terrible afterwards. Well, you had to do what you had to do. You're 3 years too late, but you had to do what you had to do. You know? You were done, and I'm sure her talking about those other dudes didn't help the situation. Anyway, it's been nearly 6 months since we broke up. We haven't been in touch at all for most of that time. Isn't that interesting? That after the crying and the meltdowns, that's it. You think after 6 months or something, she would, or at least maybe a week later, call up, text him or something? Nope. Sounds like she's busy. I've not been involved with anyone at this time, as I was 100% focusing on finishing my degree. Good, bro. It's your purpose. That's what you should be doing. I finally finished university and am about to start my first professional job. She recently got in touch again. Oh, what amazing timing. You're out of school and you're about to start making some money. And asked to meet up. I was hesitant, but decided we had such a good history and I should hear her out. Oh, can't wait to hear this. She told me she's been missing me terribly these past 6 months. Oh yeah, I could tell, given the fact I haven't heard from you in 6 months. Now she thinks she wants to get back together and is open to having a S-word relationship now. Do tell. Why the change, sweetheart? I asked her, why now? What changed? And she looked uncomfortable. After a little prying, she said she had a short-term fling with one of the older guys at work while we were broken up. All those years, this dude waited, and they break up, and there she goes with one of these successful guys at work. Obviously, a guy that was a superior of hers, older. There's a cliche, right? This good guy, I tried treating her like a princess. He got nothing. I mean, he got something, but he wasn't getting the full 9 yards. But this guy at work, the Chad boss, gets everything. And that makes us suspicious of why she was talking about those guys at work. Which is, of course, was fine, as she wasn't my girlfriend anymore. Anyway, she said he persisted with her until she started having sex with him. Oh, it's his fault. She ended with him recently. She was clear that it was consensual, but that the guy was very persistent with pursuing the sex with her. Okay. She said this was a fling. Let's remember her saying this whole thing was a fling. I was gutted. I couldn't understand why she'd make me wait all those years, but was fine doing it with some new guy that she'd only been seeing a short time. Make rules for betas, break rules for alphas. Which makes me question whether she hadn't been doing more things behind your back all along, or just simply because you were so nice and went along with it, she didn't respect you. Could mean a lot of things. I asked if the reason she was open to having that S-word relationship now is because she wasn't a virgin anymore. And she said yes. I asked her to give me some space to process all this. You know, I'd be like, kiss my ass. Although she'd like that. On the other hand, it's like, all right, I'll nail her, then I'll send her on her way. Who knows? But, shocker. Big surprise, this whole... We've all heard different variations of this story so many times. I am conflicted and would love some advice on this. I've missed her a lot and still have strong feelings for her. Well, you were with her for 3 years, that's understandable. But at the same time, it feels like I was strung along for years. It's hard to put a finger on it, and I don't want to take her back. Everything logically makes sense for us to get back together. I didn't even get to finally have an SR relationship with her, but I feel awful about this whole thing and don't want to ignore these feelings. Well, before I go into the update, I will say this. No, do not get back with her. She's back with you suddenly for a reason. Because obviously things aren't working out with the guy that she so easily gave it up to. Meanwhile, you were great to her for 3 years. And I guarantee you this guy at work is a Chad. He's a scumbag. But of course, she's drawn to the scumbags by his role in the company. And he's older and all that. And can throw money at her. And, that type of thing. And, but you were great to her and you get nothing. And now she wants to come back to you now that you're obviously got a job lined up and you're going to start making money. No thanks. Move on. Then on the other hand, you're like, maybe nail her once. Now on to his update. He says, hello again. I appreciate people taking the time to comment on my last post. The response was a lot more than I expected with over 2,000 comments. There's a reason for that, brother. I'm amazed so many people wanted to comment about my situation. Thank you. Because a lot of guys have been in your situation in one form or another. As I was warning, this is a long post. I kept a daily journal since I was 16. A lot of what follows comes from the journal. Yes, I know I'm not concise. I'm going to refer to my ex as Ellie, although it's not her real name. I like to write a bit about the comments because so many people took the time to provide their thoughts, and I appreciate that. The majority of comments were some variation of move on. A clean break, a strong recommendation with a lot to recommend it. A minority said to give her a chance to see how it goes. So, of course, somebody said that. Plenty calling me an a-hole for ending it because I wanted SCX in our relationship or for being obsessed with her virginity. Of course, people were calling him an a-hole for, God forbid, ending it. He had a right to. They weren't on the same page. And he didn't want to rush into getting married. He's working on himself and all that. And what did she go do? And you know darn well she did this. Part of it was to spite him. Let's be honest here. You're breaking up with me? Fine. And she's going to go hook up with her boss. On the other hand, one has to question, was she already ready to do that anyway? Or was she doing that anyway? But of course, some people are giving you shit about that. That's just how things are with social media and the internet. That I dumped her because she wouldn't put out. And quite a few saying my breakup with her made her feel like SCX is necessary to keep a guy, and that drove her heartbroken into the next guy's bed. Whatever. I think she did it more out of spite. And she liked the guy at work. There are a few she's pregnant comments, not that I know of it. It's not impossible, but if that happens, I won't be doing anything about it. And won't have anything to do with me. Alright. The dude saying I should F her and leave her, or worse, seriously, some of you guys need a hug or a psychologist. No. I would never use her like that, no matter our past. Ellie and I were a loving couple for years. Not as loving as you think. That counts for something even after we were broken up. Feeling hurt doesn't justify using her or anyone else for that matter. This guy's obviously, he's a nice guy, but he's also a good guy. He doesn't want to be a douchebag. And I respect that. But his nice guy ways got him nothing in terms of like what he wanted, no intercourse, for 3 years. You know? As for the comments that I have some hang up about taking her virginity, my issue when together was that we weren't having SCX in our relationship. Not whether she was a virgin or not. Her being a virgin was her reason for being abstinent, but wasn't directly an issue either way to me. If she hadn't been a virgin and wanted to be abstinent, I would have been in the same situation. The title of my last post was not great, really. I broke up because we were not having SCX, not because she was a virgin. Bear in mind, for 3 years, Ellie had everything she wanted from our relationship. What a great situation for Ellie. Boyfriend, love, affection, loyalty, support, and a guy who respected her wishes to be abstinent. Right. This guy treated her like the queen. And he got treated like the jester. Meanwhile, Chatter Tyrone, her boss, boom, like that, gets to nail her. And again, this is on the basis that she was being truthful and she was a virgin. While she got 100% of what she wanted, for me, there was a big element missing. And there was no way to reconcile that. Either we were having SCX or not having it. SCX requires both to say yes, and that wasn't going to happen. With hindsight, I should have ended the relationship early on. Yes, you should have, bro, because you weren't getting what you wanted out of it. You didn't be malicious about it, but just you weren't on the same page. When Ellie first told me she wanted to not have SEX until marriage, when we got together, I was a naive 19-year-old who never had a girlfriend before, so I kind of went along with it with things because I really liked her and got along with her so well. Smack! Should have smacked him earlier for that, but that's exactly it. This is why guys need to work on themselves and build themselves up so that when opportunity presents itself, they don't take table scraps. They don't accept terms they don't want. But because he was a virgin, not much luck with the ladies, he took what he could get. Probably hoping she'd change her mind. And women know when guys are going against what they want and they don't respect the guy for that. I fell in love with her and then kind of felt stuck in the relationship that wasn't what I wanted. I learned from this and won't make the mistake in the future. Good for you, bro. You're young. This is all about learning experience. I want to make active, not passive choices in future relationships. To not just go along with things because that's what the other person wants. Yes, you got to do what you want to do. Going along with things that you don't want to do to make the other person happy is what nice guys do. And nice guys finish last. You finished last here. 3 years, you didn't get any, and then her freaking boss, boom, she's willing to spread him for the boss. See? Our views about SEX and our relationship were not compatible, so I ended the relationship rather than waiting any longer, hoping she'd change her mind. Good, you did what you had to do. It was scary to take that step, and I put it off for way too long because I didn't want to hurt her. Again, nice guy. But I couldn't stay in the relationship just for her. I had to also consider myself too. My mistake was waiting so long to get to that point. I regret that it was caused her more hurt than if it ended it early on. Many of you say that SEX just isn't that important, but for me it is, at least as part of the relationship. You can disagree, that's fine. Some people are fine of being in no SEX relationships. No judgment from me, but that's not what I want. F all the people that are giving you a hard time about this dude, but you put your story online, so you're going to get shit. That's just how it is. Some people took issue with me saying I felt like she strung me along. On reflection, that's fair. Ellie was clear to me about wanting to not have SEX until marriage. She did say that, dude. I foolishly stayed way too long hoping she'd change her mind one day. She did not. That was my mistake. I strung myself along really. She never led me on in any way. It hurt to learn that she had SEX with the next guy relatively quickly after I waited so long. But she is my ex, so that is not my business anymore. Well, you're allowed to be a little annoyed about that. And still question whether there wasn't anything going on the side. I gotta bring it up. I've done too many of these stories and lived too long. She's allowed to change her mind. She can have SEX or not with whoever she chooses. I don't get a say in that. My hurt is an emotional response, not a logical one. Logically, I see she did nothing wrong by me. As far as you know. But remember, when she came back just in the first part, well, you're going to find out, guys, she wasn't entirely truthful about everything, but you'll see in a moment. I'll get over it. It's just my bruised ego. If I'm honest with myself, feeling I somehow lost a man because she took that step with the next guy, I know objectively that isn't true, but I sure feel it. I was not a perfect boyfriend, and I have made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Sounds like you're pretty darn close to the perfect boyfriend to me. I've learned from them. I don't regret breaking up with Ellie and still think it was the right decision for me. It was the right decision. Enough background, and a few things have happened. Last weekend was the Australia Day long weekend. I was on a camping trip, and it was so nice to be in nature, to do some bushwalks with friends and decompress. It felt good to talk about the Ellie situation with my mates around the campfire. Most of them knew Ellie pretty well from our years together, and they had a range of views, just like the commenters on my posts. And I got the usual good-natured shit about still being a virgin. Yep. Guys are guys, wherever you are around the world. I learned there's an expensive bottle of scotch they bought a while ago that was going to have its seal cracked when it's mine. The bastards. One great question a friend asked was whether I would have ever decided to reach out and take Ellie back if she ever reached out to me first. The answer is no. It was so obvious to me. That cut through a lot of the confusion for me. I was being too passive in the situation and needed to do what I wanted, not just react to what Ellie wanted. Right. And I say the guy made mistakes going along with this, but good for him. It took better late than never that he ended it with her, and he didn't do it in a malicious way. Just, look, we're not on the same page anymore. And he stuck by that. That's the good thing. By the time I was on my way home, I decided to not get back together with her. Good, bro. Don't get back with her. And remember, guys, one lesson I forgot to mention at the beginning of the story. I'm sure you guys figured this out. Women have a perception of you. It's darn near impossible to shake it. She still, even though this guy broke up with her, and she was crying and heartbroken, she still sees him as that nice guy. That's why she came back to him, thinking that he'll take her back. When I was driving home and got a mobile signal again, no mobile network where we camped, the network delivered a bunch of messages from Ellie all at once. Oh, how interesting. She said she was wrong to ask me to get back together and that she's back with Tim. Fake name. She also texted that the thing with Tim is more serious than she told me when we last met. Hang on, you all heard her say in the first part that the thing with him was a fling, and she wanted to get back with him. But now she's like, oh, never mind. It was wrong for me to say that. I'm back with Tim, and it's more serious than I let you on. So she lied to him. So anybody that maybe been feeling bad for her, thinking maybe she's so sugar and spice and everything nice, no, she's not. She's misleading him. Maybe she's monkey branching over to this guy again. She's a pro monkey brancher. She apologized for misleading me about her and Tim's relationship. If you remember, she called it a fling. She asked if we could meet to talk about it. I was not happy, so I just texted back, no. Good, one word answer. Not very mature of me, but I wasn't in the mood to hear more about this. It's not your job to hear about this. And I was surprised and pissed off that she lied to me. She's showing her true colors, my man. That seemed very out of character for her. She tried calling me, but I didn't want to answer. She sent another text saying, Tim and I had a fight. I should have come to you, and I'm sorry. So she wants you to be the guy she can go to and cry to when things go bad with Tim. And then when things get better with Tim, then she'd leave you and go back to Tim. When I got home, I was an idiot and let my curiosity get the better of me. I looked up Tim online. His real given name is uncommon, so it wasn't hard to find. I found him on LinkedIn, which gave his full name. Ellie is one of his connections, and he works at the same firm, so I was confident it's him. He's a director at the firm, one level below partner. She's doing her boss. What a cliche. He also has pictures on Instagram. Lots of posts about his adventures around the world, at various events and exotic places, as well as shots with an expensive-looking car. Shocker. A few photos of him with Ellie with their arms around each other in Singapore in November. I guess that confirms it was serious. He wouldn't put public pictures with a casual fling. She was lying through her teeth, which makes you have to question everything else that she's said to you over the years. Being a virgin, all those other things. Whether she was already fooling around with Tim before they broke up. You have to question all this. All it just made me feel bad. No good comes from comparing myself to the ex-successful boyfriend. Ellie's not my girl, and I'm not a competition with Tim, so I won't do that again. My ego bruised enough already. I've been living a very frugal life at the time at university, so I know I can feel inferior when I see people with wealth. That's another me problem to sort out. Bro, you're 22, 23. That dude's like a decade older than you. Okay, you're getting out of school now, you're going to start your career, and in time, by working hard, working smart, taking calculated risks, all that, you yourself can do very well in years to come, better than jerk off Tim, okay? And by the way, just because he has a fancy car and Instagram doesn't mean shit. You know how many people present a certain lifestyle? You know how many influencers are borrowing Ferraris and other things, and Rolexes and everything like that, fancy suits with the price tags tucked in to take pictures of make them look they're selling a certain lifestyle when they're broke. So this guy could be leasing this car, could be his friend's car. He could have rented it for the day. You never know. Anyway, all that was a Sunday afternoon and evening. On Tuesday evening, Ellie knocked at my door. She's relentless. She said that she knows I didn't want to talk to her, but she felt bad about everything and hoped I would let her come in to explain herself, clear the air, then I'd never see her again if that's what I wanted. You made it clear the first time you didn't want to talk to her. She's thinking if I just cry and do all the manipulation tactics and do all the things I know will trigger this guy, then I'll get him to take me back. I let her in. I was not happy with recent events, but figured I might at least get a clear idea of what's going on. It was a long, heavy conversation over 4 hours, but here's the gist as I remember. Dude, smack. You wasted 4 hours of your day listening to her cry and babble on about a bunch of bullshit that at the end of the day is not going to matter. If you had to do it for your own peace of mind, so be it, but still. When we broke up, she was devastated. She said it took a couple of months before she started to feel a bit better. She missed me constantly and wanted to see me the whole time, but when I ended it, we agreed to keep apart and heal. Bear in mind, she's been lying a lot lately, if not longer than that. In September, she met Tim at work. What do you mean she met him at work? Wasn't Tim already always working there? He manages a different team. She doesn't work for him. Uh-huh. She said he was very charming and attractive and showed almost immediate interest in her. Yeah, he wanted to do the 21-year-old. Whoopee. They got to know each other and he asked her out. She was worried it was a rebound, but felt so much better getting his attention that she went along with it. Ding, 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 attention. After dating for a while, she developed feelings for him, and that led to an SR relationship. It wasn't a fling, and she dated for him a while beforehand. Okay, so we are together 3 years, Ellie. I think that's what he calls her. And I was great to you, and I don't get the whole 9 yards. I get some of the yards, but not the whole 9 yards. Meanwhile, Tim, the boss, a boss in your company, after a few months, now he gets everything. Imagine that. I asked about whether he had pressured her into sex. Last time said he was very persistent. She said she was not trying to upset me. She thought if she gave me the impression she was reluctant to have sex with Tim, that I wouldn't think so badly of her. Translation, she enthusiastically went into his arms and his bed. So it was a story to try and spare my feelings. So again, more bullshit from her. I told her it just made me worried as she had been assaulted. She looked shocked at that and said, no way. She actually was the one who initiated their S-word relationship. Oh, that makes me feel so much better. So I got to wonder, there's the question, there wasn't things going on already before they broke up. There's the question of, was she doing this out of spite for him breaking up with her? Who knows? But we're unraveling more and more BS coming from her. I said, although I don't like that she lied to me, I can understand why. Smack! Stop being a nice guy. I don't think she did anything wrong changing her mind about abstinence. Yes, I was hurt when she told me she was having SCX, but I have no right to judge her for anything. She's a single adult and it's her life. I don't think badly of her. You can start to think bad when you start seeing all these lies coming about. She burst into tears, Hobag Handbook Chapter 2, and says something like, I thought you must hate me now. I assured her that I did not. She said she was sad it didn't work for us, but that she never would have dropped her virginity commitment if we had not broken up. After we broke up, she decided it was a commitment she made to her dad when she was still a kid, and it was messing with the life she wants now. So by the time she and Tim got into a relationship, she had already decided she was ready for SCX with the right person. Uh-huh. So in her being destroyed by him breaking up with her because just they were not on the same page, you'd think that if she was fine, she would have gone back to him saying, before Tim, I'm ready to, okay, you know what? It was a promise I made to my dad, blah, 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 and I'm my own woman now, and I'm ready to sleep with you. You think she would go back to our guy in the story here maybe a few weeks later or a month or something? No, she conveniently went to Tim. It makes me question if she already had something going on with Tim beforehand, or at least if something wasn't going on physically, there was enough of emotional affair going on. I just don't buy this whole thing. I asked her about her dad, and she just said, he doesn't need to know. Well, her dad doesn't need to know. Let's be honest, it's not her dad's fucking business. I asked about why she asked to get back together. Tim is older, she told me 32, and has been at the firm 10 years. One day at work, one of the women made a snarky comment to Ellie about being another one of Tim's girls. She did some digging, and it turns out Tim has a history. There's an effing surprise. He has dated a long list of women from work. Several of them were young graduate employees just like Ellie. The rumor around the office is that Ellie is just the next girl to get used by him. She was horrified. She accused Tim of using her. They argued and told him it was over. So she was getting nailed by the professional Chad in the office. What a surprise. And now she wants to come back to our guy here. And, after all the years he was great to her, she wants to come back to him. Doesn't work out with the bad boy, so now she wants to go back to the nice guy. But guess what? Our guy here is all the wiser. Soon after that she came to me, she felt as if we might be able to rekindle things now that she was open to an SR relationship. But my hesitation and time to calm down made her realize that was a mistake. Over the weekend, Tim asked her to work things out. She decided to give it a chance. She tried to call me, but it went to voicemail as I was camping. So she sent those messages instead. So I guess that's settled. I don't want her back, and she's in a relationship, so she doesn't want me back either. But she has no problem messing with your head before, right? And guess what? If you would have taken her back then, and then Tim, reached out to her and said what he had to say, then she would have broke up with this guy again. See? I'd have nothing to do with this broad. I just don't trust. There's too many questions, too much shady activity. We chatted a bit about our families are going. She congratulated me on finally finishing university, blah, blah, blah. She asked me if I've been seeing anyone else, and when I told her I've been studying hard and working a lot since exams, with a retail job, with no time for girls, she laughed and said, I'm still a big nerd. She wants to know if you're hooking up with other girls and ain't any competition. She's just tucking that away. And she's jokingly, but with some seriousness, calling you a big nerd. Yeah, well, you know what, bro? Let him call you the big nerd, because you're going to be more successful from jackass Tim down the road. And then these girls are going to really be chasing after you, which you better be careful. She hoped we could be friendly if we ever did see each other, but she wants to keep out of contact out of respect for her relationship with Tim. Oh, yeah, okay. Guess what? Tim's going to be if Tim isn't already cheating on her now, he's going to be cheating on her down the road, and she'll be back. She wants to give it a real chance of working. Good luck, honey. Which is fair enough. She gave me a hug, said thank you for understanding, and left. So there you have it. Ellie involved me in her relationship drama, because that's what girls do to nice guys. I would have preferred she hadn't, but at least it's sorted out now. I'm glad I paid attention to my feelings and took time out to consider things, as it could have been very messy if I'd taken her back. Exactly. Trusting my gut has been the biggest lesson for me in all this. What I tell you guys, always trust your gut. I still care for her despite recent events. Smack! That's your weakness. You did good in this, but don't let that have you. She's going to be back. The next time there's a problem with Tim, guess who she's going to come to, bro? You. Don't do it again. It seems like she's dealing with a lot of complicated things because of her new relationship and work gossip. I wish her well and hope she will be happy, whether it's with Tim or not. She's my first love, and I expect I'll always have a warm memory of her. But I'm clear now that I don't want her back. She's my past, and I want to look forward. Good. Then keep it that way. Well, this has become an essay. Tutors at the university always told me I was too waffly in my writing. Never heard that word before. I guess it's an Australian term. Well, fuck those guys. I'm not a student anymore. I can now focus on launching my new career with no distractions. I worked so hard so long to get here. Yes, bro, exactly. My new job starts on Monday. It's going to be so great building actual real experience with my new profession, not just endless theory. I'll be earning much better money now, no more student poverty, and I got graduation in May to look forward to as well. I'm open to finding someone new, but that is way down my priority list. I'm not going to actively pursue anything anytime soon. Cheers, everyone, for your comments and advice. Well, good for you. And real quick, we're going to have an update here, but awesome. He's starting work. He's now in the workplace. He can now start his grind. He's been on his grind in school. Now he can start in the workplace. Work smart, work hard, move up in the company, do what he has to do to move up. Take calculated risk with his money, his investments, all that, and he will move up in the world and do well. And I love the fact that he's saying relationships are at the bottom of the fucking list. Now, listen to this, his little mini update here. He says, okay, in response to the commenters. You convinced me. Today I blocked Ellie on everything. Good. She still knows where you live. Since we agreed not to be in touch again, that shouldn't matter. But if she doesn't stick to that agreement, if she and Tim have a split or fight again, then it won't be easy for her to contact me again. I thought it was a petty thing to block someone, but in this case, you've convinced me that it's a way to take control of the situation. With luck, I won't hear from her again, and if I do, like she knocks on the door, I'll remind her of our agreement and shut her off. Time to stop being passive and take charge of my life, a life after Ellie will not be a part of. Good. Good you blocked on everything, because I guarantee you will hear from her again. Because Tim is the Chad of the office, the boss, has a history of this. There'll be drama, and she now knows because you let her in. She'll come to you. First she'll try reaching out, and that won't work. She'll show up at your door. And when she does, and she's crying and blah, 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 and you're thinking about your memories of her, say no. We're done. I'm not going to be the guy who's going to listen to all your problems. I wish you well, but you need to go. And if she doesn't accept that, well, that's what the police are for. Guarantee you she's going to show up trying to cry to him, talk about her problems, to fix things with Tim, or even get a second chance. Nope, don't do it. So guys, a lot of lessons to this story. This ended on a high note, good for him. So if you start a relationship with a gentleman and things aren't going, the girl doesn't want to have sex, wants to wait till marriage, and that's her business, or any other things that you don't like, don't agree with, terms you don't agree with, don't go along with it, because that's what nice guys do. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but simply, hey, it's not going to work for me, and move on. All right? Don't waste years of your life going along with something, whatever that may be, when you don't want it because you think this is as good as it's going to get. and work on yourselves, become the best you can be, and that way you won't tolerate bad terms. And of course, they always come back, and they always come back if they want something, all the usual lessons. But good for him. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.